Hope you're enjoying your training program thus far. This video is going to show you the proper way to research cultures or conduct research on various business interactions. Feel free to take notes throughout the video. Questions may be asked at the end of the video, so please hold those or jot them down so you remember them. So to start off, here are a few of the search premiers or databases that I find appropriate for use. First is Google Scholar. Next would be some form of a university database. For example, I'm using Auburn Academic Search Premier. Next is this free one, which is doaj.org. And it has journals and articles, and you can even narrow it down if you have ISSN, or subject or some form that you are already searching for. So first, let's start off with Google Scholar. So let's say you're going to travel to China, or you're meeting virtually via Zoom or whatever service you choose to use with a client. So first things you're going to need to know are about the culture there. So I've actually previously researched this, so you want to narrow down your search and keep it to just keywords. So Chinese culture in business, and that'll pop up everything you need. So as reading through here, the changing Chinese culture and business behavior, that could help you, but actually this brings up another point, the changing Chinese culture. When searching, you're going to want to add a custom range for the dates and look for something that's in the past 20 years. So let's do from the 2000s to 2021, just to make sure that your research is relevant and recent. So see, that already changed what we had previously had. So this one, impact of traditional Chinese culture on business-to-business relationship. That could be of helpfulness at some point, but we're going to skip over that one. This could be a good one, a classification of Chinese culture, but the one that I'm going to look at is Chinese culture, organizational behavior, and international business management, because I feel this is most relevant to my search, and seeing that it says international business management will help you work better with this client. So we're going to open that. And another thing that's important to do is save your sources. So here, I would go to the top, save page as, and I would format it as complete, just to make sure you have everything. Now on other databases, you can save some as PDFs. So you can name it whatever and just save it right to your desktop. And one thing I like about this source is that it has a table. The table helps me to not have to read through all of the source, but if I were to be viewing a source that did not have a table of contents, then I would need to read through all of the source to make sure I did not miss any information. What I will do with this one is I will go to, first, let's say, I'll go to measures of national culture just to get an overview of the culture, but at the end, if I still feel like I'm missing some things, then I will go and read the whole thing. But if there's certain parts that I'm missing in my research, let's say I've already done previous research and I need to know group rank order of work goals, or that's something that's missing from my research, then I would just skip to that part if I already have a substantial base. So let's see, measures of national culture. That is on page 155, which for some reason, this one's organized a little differently. So I will scroll to 155. So this seems like it's a qualitative study. Still, just because these numbers are here, don't overlook it. So I would read through and pull out facts. This is talking about power distance and individualism, which are also very important to know about this culture, but it doesn't come right out and say what power distance is. So that's going to lead me to believe that I need to look at this whole entire research. And there are parts that are not going to be relevant to the research, but most will be. So for example, on Academic Search Premier, not all databases are going to look like this, but one thing I like about this is I can put Chinese culture, and then I can put on a second level business interactions. And it'll search for everything that has Chinese culture, and then it will also search for whatever has Chinese culture and business interactions, but it'll pull up more results for me because I have two fields that I'm looking for. So for example, okay, roadblock, that's okay. This is good. So I would then probably narrow it up here and do business culture in China. And then search for that. Here, this one is interactions in business between China and Africa. That's not relevant to me unless I was working for a company in Africa, which is not the case. Here is culture, capitalism, and political entrepreneurship, transnational business ventures of the Singapore, Chinese, and China. Now, this, just because it has China in it, unless you know that you are going to be interacting with those of Singapore, Chinese orientation, then this isn't relevant to you. So beware that even in the broad topic of China, there are different cultures within that. And I'll show you how on this, how I would save. So this has a PDF full text. So I can pull up the PDF and wait for that to load. And then right here, I can save this as a PDF to my desktop. Now I would rename this, and what I recommend doing is renaming it to the title or the author, just so that once you have your citations, if you're using a reference at all for anything, that way you can pull from it faster. And now there's really no reason you would need to cite any of this because this is all for your personal use. But if at any point you needed to, this does have a citation tab that you can click on, and it has all from MLA to Chicago to APA, all the different citation formats. Some other things that I would be aware of when using a search Premier is sometimes you're going to run into this issue where it says full text finder. Well, not all the time you're going to have access to this. I would recommend, if you don't have access to this, try visiting your closest library, and if you're a member or have a library card, it may be that you're able to check these out. Sometimes libraries just don't carry these. For example, the Auburn database just doesn't have this in their database, but that doesn't mean another person won't. And there are ways that you can pay to use them, but there is plenty out there where you won't need to pay to use these. It's very uncommon that you'll come across that. All right, so that's just a brief overview. And like I said, we didn't get into doag.org, but there's lots of different documents on here as well. And you can search journals or articles. And this is one thing I like about this, is that it represents 126 different countries and 80 languages. So there's plenty out there that you can find through these. Really no reason that you can't find anything. And like I said, Google Scholar is another good one, and any other just library database is great as well. All right, so that's our brief overview. If anyone has questions, then feel free to ask those now, and I will be happy to answer them. Thank you.